Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel, and it's episode 5 of the Cheltenham Ante-post series. Thank you very much to the guests that have been on in previous weeks, and thank you very much to you, the audience, for your participation with the audience naps, comments, likes, all the feedback. It's very much appreciated. This series has been going very well numbers-wise for this year, as it did last year, so we're really looking forward to that. As you sort of saw on our Tuesday video, our big announcement, the fact that we're now sponsored by Old Gold Racing. So as always, thank you very much to them for their continued support. But this week, we've got an equally fantastic guest in Jane Mangan. Jane, first of all, how are you this evening? How's the run-up to Cheltenham been treating you?
Well, we just got over the indigestion that came with the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm glad to be on the Only Fools Love Horses, very apt title, very no truer words spoken. And we're all fools in it together. So yeah, this is a busy time of year, as you can imagine. This is what I would call harvest. February at Leopardstown, March at Cheltenham, April with Aintree and Fairyhouse, end of April, May at Punchestown. And to think, like, I dare I say it, we're a month away from the turf last season starting, so it's all happening, and thankfully we have a little bit of extra daylight at the end of the day. And yeah, I suppose all of the Cheltenham previews are locked in. You know, it's a nice time of year, and from an Irish perspective, I suppose now we can get really confident.
You're confident all year. When's the confidence levels drop? Come on, it must be confidence levels high all the time.
Yeah, you think that, but you don't know what your novices are. Like, for instance, this year it seems that the UK have the best Triumph contender. I'm not confident in our bumper horse contingent. I was very impressed with Paul Nicholls' horse yesterday. So yeah, I think that, like, we don't have Constitution Hill. We have Galopin Des Champs. You know, I do laugh sometimes when people say, you know, the UK have the best horse in training. The UK have the best hurdler in training.
Yeah.
They don't, like, you can't compare like for like Galopin Des Champs and him. But yeah, every season's new. And now after seeing what we have at the Dublin Racing Festival, I don't think we're going to win all the grade ones at Cheltenham, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah, the teams are definitely forming for the Cheltenham Festival, and obviously Cheltenham Festival-wise, Jane, you're working with Racing TV, and you know we speak to our guests when they've come on in previous episodes, and they talk about, you know, being excitement, but it's also, you know, hard work towards Cheltenham. How do you sort of treat Cheltenham these days? You know, working 4 days with Racing TV non-stop. Is it exciting, or is it, you know, get to the end of the Friday and think, you know, that was a long haul, but you know it was good, but I'm glad it's over.
Oh no, I hate when it's over. Because as soon as it's over, you have to look forward to another 364 days without it, or 103. You know, just it's insane. And once the Supreme begins, it flies so fast. And
yeah,
if I'm not working those 4 days at Cheltenham, then I'm unemployed. And I wouldn't be a happy bunny if that's the case. And that's the reality of it. I work in racing. I work as a broadcaster in racing. Cheltenham is where you want to be. Ascot's where you want to be. You know, all those major festivals. So I fly over on the Monday, try and almost hunker down, if you know what I mean, because we'll have 2 days of declarations by then. I try and get a head start, because as soon as the tapes go up for the first day, it's very hard to make up ground. So by the time we'll start work on Tuesday, I will hopefully have the Wednesday card done, so that when the next day comes out, I can work a day in advance.
Certainly has been a prominent position throughout Cheltenham, not just on the track, but in the broadcasting as well. Gentlemen, episode 5, Lee, it certainly is getting into Cheltenham season now. I mean, it's nearly a month away. Supreme Roar is almost echoing around Cleve Hill now. I can almost hear it. You must be looking forward to Cheltenham, and now we've got, you know, Betfair Hurdle day out of the way. It's really ramping up now.
Oh yeah, 1 month to go as we speak. Look, I'm the same as Jane. I fly down on a Monday, and I'm there all week, and it's my holiday, and I just absolutely love it. And that Raw, I don't think there's anything like it. You can go to any other sport. I just think it is the be all and end all for me. I know people crab Cheltenham, but I just absolutely love it, and it's non-stop action from the Supreme all the way to the last race on Friday.
Certainly is. Me and you will be there in Cheltenham, Lee. Harry, little birdie tells me, and the fact that you've told me, you'll be in Cheltenham this year as well, 4 days as well. So you must be looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be going down on the Monday, so I think it's quite dangerous actually. All three of us down at Cheltenham on the Monday. It should be pretty good, but no, it's a bit of a different year for me this year. It won't be sort of a social gathering as it has been the last few years, but it's listen, you can't knock the excitement of it. And people try crabbing the sport and say they're looking forward to the Lincoln. Well, look, what are they going to do for those 4 days when everyone else is having fun? Go and sit in your room and play with your toys, because we'll all be having fun. And look, the Cheltenham Festival is such a good thing, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait. It's 4 weeks now as we record, so
Yeah,
it's getting close. It's getting close.
It's getting close, and without further ado, we'll kick on into the races. As we have been doing the last few weeks, we've been going chronologically, and we're now in the final 2 races of the Thursday on the Cheltenham Festival. And the first race we're covering on this episode is the Stayers Hurdle. Now, for many over the last few years, Stayers Hurdle has been potentially lacking quality, as some of the other championship races have got. But competitive-wise, you really can't knock it. Tupu topping the market 10-3 for Gordon Elliott and Robcour. Gordon Elliott and Robcour have the second favourite as we speak. Irish Point at 5-1. Crambo representing the British for Fergal O'Brien, seeking his first Cheltenham Festival winner, 7-1. Telemis will enter, but that was by mistake. He's not running. Noble Yates 10-1. So Gerhard 10s, Monkfish 16s, and Paisley Park 20s. Bigger about the rest. Jane, I'll come to you first of all. Stayers Hurdle is quite an open market. 10-3 the field. I suppose that's better than many of the other championship races. What's your opinions on the Stayers Hurdle, and what's your thoughts coming into the Stayers Hurdle at this stage?
My thoughts are that Tupo was robbed last year and he'll win it this year. It's not an open market to me. It's a one-horse race. He's a 6-year-old.
I love it.
He's lightly raced. As soon as he came into the winners' enclosure at Fairy House on Hatton's Race Day, which, bear in mind, that's back in the beginning of December. He beat Umpere Pass over 2.5 miles in a tactical race, so he's not slow. And Gordon Elliott said, "That's it, straight to Cheltenham." Like that's the kind of the modus operandi with this horse. It's one goal, and they're going to have one kick at it. He's on the penalty spot right now. I've always loved him. He beat Classical Dream in the same race, the Hatton's Grace, 2 years ago as a 5-year-old. I think he's only just coming to the boil. There's not a lot of him physically, so when you get to the races and you see him, you're not going to be blown away by him the same way you might be blown away by a Crambo or potentially a Sir Gerhard, maybe even a Monkfish if he lines up, because obviously we know he's a monster. But what's minuscule about him in stature, he's got a huge heart. Tupo, he wins the race for me. Obviously Brian Ashton's Robcour have a very strong hand, because Irish Point being second favourite, but they also had Hidden Valley Lake win the Boyne at Navan at the weekend. I'm not sure if he goes here. I think that would be an afterthought, considering they went chasing with Hidden Valley Lake. But Irish Point is no back number either, of course, because he beat Asturian Forlange 10 lengths at Leopardstown. Okay, you could say ground was horrendous. Probably wasn't. You probably can take it literally. But he, again, is still a 6-year-old. And that's the vital point about this year's Stayers Hurdle. Those horses are improving. I would argue the likes of Paisley Park, Sire du Burlay, Dashel Drasher, Champ, all of them who are great horses in their own right. They have been great horses, have been in past tense. They're going in one direction, and Tupo and Irish Point are going the other way.
Do you think then that Tupu is better than Irish Point? Obviously, same stable, same connections. Are you happy to say, in the conditions, Tupu is the best one of the two?
Definitively, I think he's the less ground dependent. A lot of people think Tupo needs heavy or soft. I think he dispelled that last year. Look, you can say, do I think, but Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy don't seem to be swaying away from Tupo to Irish Point, and they're looking at him every day. He could have ride him every day. Their opinion matters in this regard. So they've kept him separate all year. It was easy to keep him separate when Tupo only ran one. But I was taken when Gordon came back into the ring. Look, I was disappointed when he said we're going straight from the beginning of December to the second week of March, but I could see why.
Yeah, get him there fresh. That's the main target for Gordon. So Tupu, definitely the top of the list there for Jane. Lee, any similar strong opinions on the race for you at this stage?
Well, look, I've got a bit of a pocket talk because I'm on a bigger price for Irish Point. I do think he is classier. I was disappointed that Tupu couldn't put them away last season. I know you got a bit messed about at the last there. But yeah, I was just disappointed that he couldn't seal it last season in a winnable race. I do think he prefers that, obviously softer conditions. And I do like that he's been put away and kept fresh though. I like that angle in. The only thing is, in Perry Pass has kind of disappointed himself. And yeah, look, I'm on Irish Point at a bigger price, but I do think the one maybe's at an each way play is Noble Yates. I like that run the last day. You know, Paisley Park, he was kind of, he would have been trained for them type of races. He was just denied by Crambo at Ascot. Crambo, look, he comes into the picture. He's the improver kind of thing in this race. It'd be good for Fergal to go and get a Cheltenham Festival winner on that Thursday. He'd be looking to have a couple of his best darts as well with Data Inos. But all in all, I think Noble Yates is overpriced. I'm hoping Irish Point is the one. But like Jane says, look, if them are saying Tupu in the yard and Jack takes his chance on him, that kind of points the way to Tupu. Look, I'll give away a bit of an exclusive. If you're watching this the day before we announce, Rob Aitchison of Robco, he's going to be on our Cheltenham Festival preview night on the 5th of March there, and he'll probably give us the lowdown. He did kind of tell me that Bob Ollinger was going to go to Aintree and early in advance, so hopefully he'll be giving us some insight as into who's the one to be on. But yeah, look, I've backed Irish Point to bigger praise. Like Jane says, if Jack chooses Tupu, that probably is going to be the one out of them. But Noble Yates overpriced for me.
Yeah, I distinctly remember speaking to Brian Aitchison at Cheltenham. Must have been Rail Keel Day, the day that Bob won, sort of talking about Stayers Hurdle, how the picture fits up. And he said, you know, Tupu's still on number one. He's pretty much said Bob Ollinger was going to go to Aintree. And he said, you know, would you run 3 horses in the Stayers Hurdle? No. So he's going to sort of run 2 here. Even the Champion Hill has been spoken about for Irish Point. So, you know, maybe it seems like they're going elsewhere, but it looks like Tupu is their number 1 horse. Harry, how do you see the Stayers Hurdle? Do you think there's anything that can get in between these top 2?
Just, do you know what? Watching the race yesterday, the Boyne yesterday, I was so taken by the way that Beacon Edge ran, and the way that horse looked outpaced coming down the hill. And Hidden Valley Lake went past, and he had the form over shorter as well. And Beacon Edge, you've got to remember, is a 10-year-old. And you look at the way that Jack Kennedy got this horse galvanised and ran all the way up the hill to the line. Now he's around 66 to 1 for the Stayers. Now I'm not saying he's going to win, and he's the class of the likes of Tupu and Irish Point. But on the day, if you could get those sorts of prices with the extra places that bookies are going to probably be offering at, he's got the form lines. I think he was 4th in the Stayers behind Flooring Porter's side of Burley, and I can't remember who was third. It might have been I can't remember who was third that day. But anyway, he's got some very class form behind him, and I know people will see Lee, especially, he will look at his age and go, he's old enough to buy a packet of cigarettes from the corner shop. That's what there's his usual lines. But he is still got that class, and I can see him either.
Gordon did say it on RTV yesterday that all of his would have hit the ground and probably be better for that run, actually. So maybe.
Yeah, look, he's 66 to 1, and I'm not saying by any means he is going to light this field up and blitz them all and prove that it's a pretty weak division. But I think that Gordon could well have the 1, 2, 3, and I think Beacon Edge could just outrun his odds at 66 to 1.
I like the much good over the banks.
Yeah, that's what I did. He screamed. That did
running
scream.
Everything else over the banks.
I know it won't be long. It won't be long.
The walls.
Yeah, but I wonder whether they put him in like a handicap or something. I mean, I don't know what you're getting.
He's got a mark in the 140, so if the British handicapper gets a hold of him, it might be 147. You could think potentially a fast run Coral Cup or something like that might suit him potentially.
Yeah. What did Commander of Fleet win?
He won the Coral Cup when he chinned fast or slow.
Yeah. What mark did he run off? I mean, I'm pretty sure he was off. That's
mid-40s.
I'm pretty sure he was off that, and he was obviously like 66 to 1 or 50 to 1 whenever he was. So look, I just think Beacon Edge is pretty interesting. If Gordon's got anything lined up with this thing, then I've told you all first.
Keeping an eye out then for whichever race he turns up to. I like the angle on a big price in this. I do agree with Jane on this one. I'd be wanting to stick with Teupu over Irish Point. Now I love both of those horses. I really do. Teupu was my Stayers Hurdle horse last year, and I was unfortunately I think the only one celebrating when he beat Classical Dream and Honeysuckle in the Hatton's Grace. But I really do like the horse. I think he's a proven stayer at 3 miles. I know Irish Point's won over 3 miles, and I've always thought he's a better horse for a bit further in trip, but it turned into a real sprint the last day. They were going sort of 25 mile an hour early, even that like 24 mile an hour, and then they quickened up, turned into a sprint. I do really rate him, and like, would I be blown back if Irish Point won? No, but I would have a small preference towards Teupu. But look, big price in this. Okay, I did it last week with Hitman at a massive price, something like 80 or 100 to 1 it was last week for the Ryanair. I'm going to chuck up another one, and I'm willing to keep the faith with Buddy One, right? And hear me out on Buddy One. So he's been disappointing the last 2 runs. Fair enough, that's fine. Hatton's Grace, I don't think was ever going to suit him. I think he's a proper 3 miler. He doesn't want 2.5 miles, and it came quite quickly after that Cheltenham handicap win. And at Leopardstown, when he was behind Irish Point, when he pulled up in the Jack Bromwich Christmas Hurdle, he came back saying that I think Jockey came back and said that he lost his action. That was because of a back injury, which was revealed a few days after, and he lost his right fore shoe, I believe. And he scoped badly. I'm thinking of different horse. He scoped badly after the race, so you can put a line through that as well. It was coming at the end of a long stint of racing. He'd been racing since August, and that was the end of December. He's now going to go straight to Cheltenham, fresh horse, has a good record, fresh. And let's not forget that he was third in the Martin Pipe last year behind Iroko. Imagine was back in 5th, who's won a Craddockstown since. He's also won at Cheltenham, beating the newest one, giving 26 pounds away in weight, which is never an easy task. And Chantry House is back in 3rd. I just think I don't think he's 100 to 1. I think he's overpriced in the market. I'd see him as sort of like a 33 shot kind of thing, and you get 100 to 1 about him for a horse who likes Cheltenham. He handles the festival. He's fairly versatile, sorry, and I give him a chance. Buddy won 100 to 1. Look, like Harry, I'm not going to say he's going to light up this field, but I think he's a bit overpriced, and I could see him outrun his odds at 100 to 1. But that's my assessment of the Stayers Hurdle. Anyway, we'll move on.
Jane, what do you think? Jane, what do you think of Ash tipping up Buddy One at 100 to 1?
I think if they should run him in a handicap and let Jack claim 7 off the top. I 100% agree. I think he should have won the Martin Pipe last year. He hit the front too soon.
Yeah.
I think they've ridden him wrong a couple of times this year. They rode him prominently in the Hatton's Grace. That just didn't work out. I wouldn't disagree with you at all. He's 150 rated, and I'd run him off a high weight in a handicap rather than finish 4th or 5th running a career best in a Stayers. And if I was to give one as an each way price, sure, you just know you're going to get there on the day, and Sarah de Burley is going to be 25, 33 to 1. He's ran at the festival. I think he's run at Cheltenham 6 times. He's won there 3 times. He's only been out of the first 4 once. I know he's 12, but like, he's had his pipe opener in the Boyne Hurdle. Look, he's just one of those solid Stayers, regardless of ground. He looked like he's going to go finish nowhere, and then he just flies home. So that's my 10 pence away from the favourite. It's one of those races where I would probably play at bigger prices, because on the day you could get, if for instance Ireland sweep the boards the first 2 or 3 days, what price will Crambo be? And he's a 7-year-old on the improve. You know, you could get funny prices on the day. So I'd be careful about Ante-post with the Stayers.
Yeah, festival form coming to the fore, and Side of Burley is the definition of festival form with his record around the place. We'll move on then to the Mares Novice Hurdle, and again, speaking about the Stayers Hurdle being slightly open at the top of the market, at least it's not a proper odds-on shot there towards the top. You got a Mares Novice this year, which could be absolutely fascinating race. Jay de Grugy topping the market 5-2, unbeaten in 3 starts. Brighter Days Ahead 7-2, unbeaten under rules. Dysart Enos 4-1, unbeaten under rules. miles. And then you got Fun at 14s, Joyous in there at 14s, Birdie or Bust 16s, Chatara 16s, and the Queen's Gamble the same price. Jane, I'll stick with you. The Mayor's Novice, I think it's going to be. I think this is probably one of the races of the festival for me. I'm really interested to see what happens with this contest. Which horse, the top three of the market, you got Dysart Enos, Bryce Days Ahead, and Jade Grugy. Is there one of that three that's really standing out to you at this stage, or are you willing to take one at a bit of a bigger price?
All three of them are standing out. It's such a boring answer, but the three of them are unbeaten. What's not to like? When Jade de Grugy won her maiden hurdle at Leopardstown at Christmas, I happened to be standing beside Harold Kirk, and he said she'll win the Cheltenham race. And I was like, okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And then I had in my head, I was like, the way I'm a pedigree nerd, Brighter Days Ahead's a fair mare. She's out of, Matney, who's, the dam of Mighty Potter, Caldwell Potter, Indiana Jones, and all these. And of course, Brighter Days Ahead has avoided the big festivals, so she's flying completely under the radar. And I was pleased what she did over 2 mile 5 at the weekend. I don't think she needs 2 mile 5. I think they just went there for an easy kick, and she did it by 12 lengths. And then you've Fergal O'Brien, who's being really clever, and he hasn't won any real race of substance, so he's going to fly in here without a penalty, and he's going to carry less weight with Dysart Enos, even though he's got loads of experience with her. So I think he's campaigned her really well. Like, she's a grade 2 winning bumper mare, and yet she's just fiddled around in a couple of novice hurdles. We saw Fun at the weekend. She was fine. I was expecting better from her at Exeter, if I'm honest. She's a filly that can be very keen. She was too keen in the champion bumper last year at Cheltenham, and for that reason, I'm not going to take a chance on her this year. I think mentality could come against her with the atmosphere of the festival. Of ones at bigger prices, I'll probably come down on a Queen's Gamble. She got within a length of Dysart Enos in a bumper last year, and look, what she's done to date for Harry Durham has been fine. It's been pretty average races she's won, but she's won them quite well. But if I had to ride one, if I had to go out and look at one every day, I'd like to look at Brighter Days Ahead. I genuinely think her team are having to just curb their enthusiasm. They're not getting overexcited. They're not saying she's the next Jesus Christ like Sam Crowe was. And I think for that reason she's just flying in under the radar. And I know she's second favourite, but all the talk over here has been about Jade de Grugy, and all the talk over there has been about Dysart Enos. So Brighter Days Ahead for me. She'll do.
Yeah, Bright Days Ahead. Lee, I'm going to let you come into for this, and you'll back up Jane massively here, because when we did our horses to follow way before the season starting, Brighter Days Ahead was one of them. So you must be firmly in the same camp as Jane here. Bright Days Ahead, and let's move on.
Yeah, look, it's a great race. I do think. I think Fun maybe's left her race behind. I would have said yesterday. Chatara, I do believe Jane, maybe's correct me, is probably going to save for Fairy House. Is that right, Jane? Or
I believe she's going to the grade 1 at Fairy House. Yeah.
Yeah, so she'll get saved. Queen's Gamble is the one I thought, probably second best in from the Brits behind Dysart Enos, but she's definitely got a chance to reach the frame at least. But the top three are going to be hard to contain, I would have said. Dysart Enos avoids the penalty, picked up an egg and spoon race the last day, but absolutely bolted in that Aintree bumper. Well campaigned, if you want to say it that way. Maybe do they think that's the best way to go down it and avoid the penalty, or do they need that concession against these top two? Jade de Grugy won well the last day as well, but I am on Brighter Days Ahead. I did have a save on Dysart after she ran at Cheltenham. I thought that was a good prep. I just thought she just got the more, a bit more experience there at Doncaster, but it was a nothing race. She could have done that at home. But Brighter Days Ahead, well related, bumper winner, won, a fair enough race there down Royal, and yesterday as we're recording, I thought she put up a solid performance. That was over 2 mile 5. Does drop back, but it is on the new course. yeah, look, I think she'll handle it well. I don't want to blow me on trumpet. I did put her up at 16s on a different video, and at the start of the year, look, get the trumpets out. But I just think she's from day one, it's a profile and a horse that I've liked. So yeah, I'm sticking with her. I think she will be the one. I think she'll stay on very strongly. Jade DeGrugy is probably
She's
the
not
more.
slow. She don't put her down as a
Yeah,
stayer.
no,
She's
no,
not
no,
slow.
no. I
The options they had were go to 2 miles
Yeah,
at the Dublin Racing Festival and meet Ballyburn, or go to Navan and take 2 mile 5. I'd run the extra 5 furlongs myself to avoid that Ballyburn.
yeah. No, yeah, it was either take on the boys or yeah, go over that extended trip. I did see Gordon mention on our TV that kind of that was the only option, and Jack thought going back what was the going to suit her, to be fair. But like I say, on the new course, and I think she's got that blend of stuff. I do think Jade DeGrugy is the classier one at present. But I think Brighter Days Ahead will kick on next season as well, and do a lot more. But yeah, I think she'll take this.
Yeah, as I said on the Sunday show, which you can catch every week 7 to 8 on Twitter, I said I finally got onto the train with Bryce Days Ahead alongside you. I've been waiting till just to make sure, like, just to be like, okay, look, she's got the pedigree behind her. The Mighty Potter, Coldwell Potter link, the French Dynamite, Indiana Jones. I was waiting just to be making sure, and I thought, yeah, on Sunday I was like, I'm happy to come aboard. I really do think she's a very smart mare, and like she's been very impressive. And I thought she was really impressive over 2 mile 5. And I agree with what Jane said. She's not slow, but at the same time, she had that race 1 on the weekend before you even need the last hurdle. 2 mile 1, Cheltenham, new course. I think that's going to suit her right down to the ground. So Bryce Days Ahead. I agree. Harry.
That's Jane. Jane, would you rather a horse campaign to dodge the penalty, or to have the harder experience and gain that experience in them graded races? What would you do?
So she has the graded experience in terms of bumpers. It's not like she's lightly raced and hasn't had the experience in a bunched field, or indeed hasn't had the experience of a festival. She actually ticks both of those boxes. And you mentioned there, is it a case that they're not confident enough in her ability that they didn't want to get her the penalty? I think it's like this. You want all of the assets to be in your favour. You want all of the ticks in your box. So I think Fergal has just been very clever. And if she wins by a short head or a neck, we'll be all singing his praises. But unlike the 2 Irish horses, Jade DeGrugy's only had 3 runs, 2 for Willie, 1 in France. And Brighter Days Ahead, like when she was winning bumpers, she wasn't really being stretched to maximum capacity. I'd argue she has yet to really be put to the pin of her collar. So she's the one that has that experience. And again, on the day, Fergal O'Brien again could have a big price. She could be a bigger price, because we all know what the Irish do when we have a few winners. We just keep rowing back in, particularly with mares. I think Willie won the first 5 editions of this race. This race is only 8 years old, and he won the first 5 editions. People will also start reeling out the record books as well.
Yeah, Willie's got a fantastic record. I remember he won it with Eglantine de Seul one year, with Constantisa finishing second on stable debut, I think. Harry, final word to you. Mares Novices hurdle. Seems like there's agreement here. 1, 2, 3 of us, Brighter Days Ahead. Are you going to make it a lovely, happy families number 4?
No, why would I? I am literally the intruder of the family. I'll just ruin everything for everybody. Jade DeGrugy, I was so impressed with what I saw visually at Fairy House, and the times back it up. And I know people sometimes crap the times, but Ash, I'm going back in again. And her second to last furlong
Are you a
was.
changed man? Sorry, are you a changed
I know,
man?
I am. I am, but I'm not. Listen, I'm not going too far like you do. I mean, you literally rely on it, but sometimes I think it's good to kind of have a look, and I just find it interesting. And look, Jade DeGrudy's second last furlong, and it backs it up as well. What you saw, she blew absolutely everything out of the park. It was, I mean, pink in the park. I mean, she's got some very good form behind the likes of Chitara, Ashrow Diamond, I believe. Was it at Punchestown where she came? Was it third? I think she was 100 to 1 or something.
She was ridden for a place. She was out the back that day, tipping away, and I grabbed third.
That was fine because Jane, get the hammer out because I actually did tip up. I actually did tip
Think
up
in the past is about I'd say Listowel next year, I'd say.
But if you're not already subscribed to Old Gold, the newsletter, then I did actually tip up Pink in the Park when she came third at 100 to 1. So there's some good prices for you. But anyway, Jade DeGrugy, let's get back to her. Willie Mullins, as you've mentioned, Jane, he's got a terrific record in this race, and obviously connections. We know a very, very good mare that the connections have already had. So and it just looks like the baton's been passed on to Jade DeGrugy. I have it between herself and Brighter Days Ahead. I thought I was impressed with what I saw, but it was a nothing race. Lee, you've already mentioned that. Dysart Enos, I'm just worried that the fact that I always feel like the Irish are going to come in hustled and bustled. They're going to come shoulders out, and Dysart Enos is just this little. I'm not saying she's the biggest man. I've never seen her ever, but I'm just a little bit worried that she might just get a little bit tap for toe in a way that if it did turn into a barging match, I think the likes of Jade DeGrugy could just outclass her and get away. But look, Jade DeGrugy on the R, she's battered everything for me, and I'll be with her. I think 5 to 2 is a good price. I really do, because I have it between the top two. And if you ask me, Jade DeGrugy or Bright Days Ahead, well, I've just told you because I like to ruin the family party. So Jade DeGrugy.
Very poor from you. A big price. I just want to give a small mention to Golden Ace. I thought she's been quite impressive for Jeremy Scott so far. She's got that form when beating Lucky Place in receive a bit of weight in fairness, but Lucky Place gone sort of frank the form behind Gidley Park at Cheltenham. I just think she absolutely bolstered up the other day. I think it was last week now. In a canter, won it really impressively. She was second to Dysart Enos at the Aintree Festival in the bumper. She has got that length to improve, but I also think she's improved that far as well. And she's probably going under the radar. So I give her a shout at 16s. Golden Ace potentially to hit the frame. Final race we're going to be looking at under the microscope is the Triumph Hurdle. Obviously a race that's been dominated by the Irish in recent years. Lossiemouth won it last year, good record there. But it's the British who hold a strong hand in the fact that Sergino is topping the market. 5 to 4 on for Nicky Henderson's charge here. Obviously bolstered up at Cheltenham on last day. Cargeese 7 to 1, second Fav Margeborough 8 to 1, Storm Hart 12s, Burdett Road 16 to 1, Khalif de Burley for Paul Nichols, very much Gold Cup horse and time from Connections 16 to 1, Liari for Nichols as well, and bigger about the rest. Jane, I'll come to you again. What Triumph Hurdle, is this just Sergino? Is there anything that from Ireland that's been impressing enough to get towards Sergino, or do you just think it's Sergino can be justifying favouritism here on the first race of the Friday?
Look, Nicky Henderson always has a novice, whether it's Shishkin in the Supreme or Altior to turn over Min in the Supreme. He always has something particularly outstanding, and I think this is his horse this year. I'm not going to in any way pick holes in his British form, but even look at his run in Auteuil, his first run that was back in April. He beat a horse called Salvatore Mundi, who Willie Mullins subsequently purchased. He's yet to run over here, but he had him in the Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival right up until the last stage, despite the fact that he's still a maiden. So that'll tell you how Salvatore Mundi is regarded, and Sergino has his measure, and it's not like he hasn't improved for his 2 runs with Nicky Henderson. He's the standout, right? But he's no value. He's odds on. That's boring. Cargie's big filly. If anybody sees her in the flesh at the festival, she can be a little bit on her nerves. She's not simple. We've seen her be keen before. She probably should have won at Christmas, and she was too keen when Cala Conti beat her there. She settled better at the Dublin Racing Festival, but just as a physical, she's a very strong mare. I thought from the Dublin Racing Festival race, the one I wanted to take out of it, and as we speak today, there's been a Cheltenham morning at Willie Mullins's, and he's also ruined the party here with Margeborough, because he's speaking lyrical about this horse. And there was me thinking I was going to be really clever, telling somebody that, Margeborough is going to win the Triumph, even though he got beaten, and he's only her Irish start. But he's a gorgeous horse. I don't think he wanted to make the running of the Dublin Racing Festival. He ended up there because he's got this huge stride, because he's a huge physical. If you look at him, he'll remind you a little bit of a Duvan or a Vautour, just really tall and narrow. And his sire, Martinborough, who a lot of people won't be familiar with, he's by Deep Impact, which is an unusual spectrum for jumping, but of course it's stamina because he won over 2 miles. So Marshborough for me is the value against the favourite. Just going to go down to a couple more. Stormheart disappointed me. I think everything went right from the Dublin Racing Festival. He finished second. I expect Marshborough to improve past him. Burdett Road, to me, he's just too keen. I'm not going to make any excuses for him at Cheltenham the last day. Maybe you guys will have a different opinion. He's very quick through the air. He's quite a fast horse. I'd say he barely gets 2 miles, and this is going to be a stamina sapping 2 miles. Caliph de Burley, I can't really quantify that Kempton form, if I'm honest. Going down through the others, would do extremely well placed to win 6 in a row. 5 in a row for Gordon Elliott. That filly, I wonder where she go. Will she go to the Boodles?
I think
I'm going to give you a horse. She's going to the Boodles, is she?
I believe so. That's what I did read about it, but I think she is going to take Boodles.
She may well do that, and Gordon has such a good record in the race. I'm going to give you a horse at a huge price. I don't think he'll run in this race. I think wherever he goes, just follow him. Is Ethical Diamond. Go back and look at that race at the Dublin Racing Festival. Ethical Diamond dropped in last. He gets beaten 5 lengths by all the horses that I've just mentioned at the top of the market. He was bought for a lot of money after winning a maiden on the flat at Limerick. I know he's highly thought of. Why else would they run a maiden in 2 really hot races? And I'd say he'd have to win to get into the Boodles, and time is running out, and it's not Willie Mullins' style to rush one. So just wherever Ethical Diamond goes, watch him. Marshborough for me to take on Sergino, because I would never back a horse that's currently around 4 to 5.
I was going to ask you about Ethical Diamond, but the fun has been stolen because there's been a few people that have mentioned this horse, and I thought it's fascinating what they could do with him. You know, would they run him in a triumph, finish third, keep his novice status for next year, and then maybe have a novice hurdle campaign, or do they go and win it? Do they go and bolt up in a main hurdle and ruin that for everyone? I thought that's fascinating, and the horse is big enough price for the Triumph Hurdle to take a chance. And Marge, I just get some comments up from Willie Mullins. I spoke to him after the race at Dublin Racing Festival, and he said that Margebury was definitely the one to keep an eye on, especially over fences, but I think he'll go to the Triumph Hurdle too. He could be a great each-way value in the likes of Cheltenham or something like that. That was his first run for us. I think we and Mark Walsh will know him a lot better now. So yeah, 8-1 about him. He's been squeezing the market. Harry, Triumph Hurdle. Are you the one to look away from Sergio? I know you're very easily impressed in multiple areas of the world, but Sergino, would you be just willing to keep with him and not really look elsewhere?
Yeah, I was there at Trials Day, and he was very, very good. Harry Cobden believed that Burdett Road wasn't at his best. Now, do you take that with a pinch of salt because he beat him fair and square, or do you just appreciate the fact that Sergino is just a very, very good horse? I was hoping that you'd see something like a Lossy Mouth or a Garlamarso at the festival at the DRF last year, but I don't think we saw that. And I just think that Nicky has the key now. And I think he might have been worried prior to the DRF, but after seeing the DRF, his hand has almost been played for him if it wasn't already. He has to send Sergino here. Now, the people are relying on Sergino. Many people are saying this horse is a banker. Is he a banker in what's likely to be? I'd say you're at least going to get 10 runners in this. I think Willie will throw a few in there just to try and get Sergino beat. So then you're kind of thinking at 4 to 5, is he worth getting stuck in? Look, there's this horse. I think we were all on the Icy podcast last night. Now I was going to mention, because whether you agree or not, I think he made a good point regarding this horse. Now, compared to Galopin Des Champs, who we know who could run to an RPR of 180 plus, Sergino could run to an RPR of 150 plus, but so could a few of these in here. So you're taking 4 to 5 or about Sergino in what could be a muddly race, or you could take 11 to 8 about Galopin Des Champs. You know what I mean? It's a no-brainer. So for that reason, I'm going to give Stormheart another chance. I think I was a little bit disappointed, but he was probably the most impressive maiden hurdle winner I've seen this year in this division. Now, whether the ground, you can't really blame the ground because he won on heavy ground at Punchestown, but I just think he's a very good horse. I think 12 to 1's a little bit of an overreaction. He was only beaten a length by Cargies, who obviously got a peach of a ride. And you look at it there. Does Danny Mullins keep the ride? Jane, would you think that Danny Mullins would keep the ride on Cargis, and then Paul Townend would ride Stormheart? That's the way I'd kind of see it. But I don't know.
you could see it that way, but not with Willie Mullins is so loyal to his stable jockey, and Paul Townend will have choice. And if Paul Townend wants to ride the mare, he will ride the mare. That's the one thing with Willie Mullins. He's so steadfast when it comes to his jockeys. And when he has 4 and 5 and 6 runners, he doesn't reach for Harry Cobden. He doesn't reach for the best available. He will use his team, and Paul Townend will have first choice on whatever he wants to ride, bar obviously the JP McManus horse.
Who do you think then he would ride if the decision was tomorrow and he has to ride? Who do you think Paul Townend would ride?
I think he'd ride the filly getting the allowance. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Stormheart in the ring at Cheltenham, at Leopardstown. He's not a big horse, and the fact that Marlborough was passed, looked like he was going to be well beaten, and almost got back up for second, just gives me a nothing feeling for Stormheart. I like to see them hitting the line stronger than the race went perfectly for Stormheart. They're perfect, right?
Yeah, I would say though as well, just on Stormheart, you look at the market before that race, and Stormheart was very short, and by the off he was 9-4. So how many times? I think he even touched 11-4, 3-1 at some point. Like, how many times with a Willie Mullins short price favourite with Paul Townend on board do you see drift that wildly? You don't often see it, bar the double green yoke that ran on Saturday in the Betfair Hurdle. I mean, the English handicapper got that one right anyway, so we'll leave that one. But Stormheart, I am going to give him a chance.
But Paul Townend didn't want to travel to the Betfair Hurdle.
Well, surely that was the signal anyway. That was the signal.
That was a major black mark for me. And I would say, obviously, Jigginstown House don't care about markets. They're not betting people. But I'd say a lot of people were watching the behaviour of Cargies in the preliminaries down to the start and at the start. And once she had behaved and, didn't look like she was going to boil, that was a big thing. I think people lumped on her last minute.
Yeah, you can see 7-2. It was pretty close between all of them at the off. I mean, you'd look at the top 4. Bunting's in there. What price is Bunting, by the way, in this sort of race? Because I thought he ran well, and obviously Marlborough was 5-1, Stormheart 9-4, 7-2 Cargies. So you really couldn't split the 4 of them. So.
Is there a horse you don't like in this race, Harry? Is there a horse that you're not?
Ash, listen, you cannot talk because you've put up 200-1 yokes in the space of 42 minutes. So we're not talking about.
I do think with the Sergino factor, right? We all over here have a huge amount of respect for Sergino, and I think anybody at the Dublin Racing Festival, as soon as they crossed the line, we were like, we're probably not going to beat Sergino. What'll happen is you'll end up with a huge field in the Boodles, and that'll end up being a super competitive race because there'll be loads of them on the higher end of the weight scale. We could end up with just about each way betting in the Triumph.
Yeah, I did see someone sort of mention that the other day about being maybe this year might be quite high in the ratings and the weights of the Boodles, and I kind of do think that might happen because of the Sergino factor. The Irish scare away plenty of people from these Cheltenham races. Nicky Henson seems to have one who could scare away a couple as well. So yeah, interesting to see what happens with the Sergino factor. Lee, I'll come over to you. I was very impressed by Sergino in his last 2 runs. I thought his run was it Kempton now, where they he sort of just like the I thank the Racing TV camera angle for this, or whoever's doing the camera angles at Kempton, because he's coming to the big tree at Kempton. He's sort of like 2 or 3 lengths ahead at the tree, and then he goes behind the tree and he comes out of the tree like 7 lengths ahead. I thought he was really impressive there at Kempton. Then he was equally impressive at Cheltenham. I think it's going to be quite tough to beat Sergino in the Triumph. Do you agree? Are you looking at him as sort of towards banker material, maybe?
I definitely think he's banker material. I'll keep it simple. I think he'll win it, and I think he'll win it well. Cargis won that spring juvenile that we've talked about. There, she'll get the allowance. I think Marshall's going to be the best of that race. I didn't like Stormheart at all. I can happily wipe him off. Salva is going to run in the Victor Ladorum, I think, at the weekend there for Gary Moore. He won impressively at Chepstow. But is he ground dependent? Can he step up to the table? I don't know, but he is a big price. he is on a fair mark, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. He might go Boodles, I'm unsure. But like you're saying, look, it's not good. I've actually backed Lark in the morning. I don't even know if he'll get into that race just because of the way things have worked out there. But yeah, look,
he'll try. He's been trying to get a run into him.
Yeah.
No, like it's not stopped raining over here. He's off 118. He needs to win, and he'll run a big race in the Boodles if he gets in.
He would be like right at the bottom, and yeah, I hope he does sneak in. But yeah, I don't know. Will he have time to get a run into him? I know he was pulled out twice, really. Now, just at the weekend gone as well. Will he have time to get one in?
He'll have time, because I'd say when he runs in a maiden hurdle, he shouldn't get a hard race. I'm just going to type in here if he's got an entry. We don't, as it stands, have entries for Sunday yet. Lark in the morning, of course, is Joseph O'Brien's. And Sean Mulryan's Lark in the morning.
Would they run him in a maiden hurdle against the older horses, or is there any other 4-year-old races until the festival now over in Ireland?
Yeah, you could run him against older horses. He actually has no entry. So we'll see if he's in at the weekend. They are running out of time. 118. Lord, he'd be some certainty in a maiden hurdle.
I think what was last year's, I want to say it's around 118, 120 area was bottom, wasn't it? Yeah, but
I think so,
yeah, back to Sergino. I think he'll win it well. I really do. And if you go back and watch that final furlong from Cheltenham the last day, he's absolutely bolted up. When he's given a bit of rain, that was it. The party was over. And Burdett Road is no mug. Royal Ascot winner, fair. I think 101 on the flat there. Fair performer, but he was kicked out the way. And yeah, look, I love that. Sergino is definitely the one for me. Marjba going forward, I think, is definitely the one, like Jane mentioned. And if Salva does run here, maybe he's an each race squeak, but I can't really see that Spring Junior Villanelle turn it around, really.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And lads, when I was crying about Batman Girac getting a mark of 133 over in Britain and thinking that was too high, I might be giving the British handicapper a handshake if that happens now. If they're getting into the race, at least you'll get into it off 133. So a big price for the Triumph. I'll just give one. Mighty Bandit is going to go to Warren Greatrix, and he's going to go to the Triumph. From all things I read, he's going to go to the Triumph. I'd give him a chance. And I know we spoke about this a little bit in the past about, horses who have gone to different yards quite close to the festival, had to have that time to acclimatise. Coldwell Poulter's not going to the race, which go to the festival, which is unfortunate. There'll be others that probably miss it as well. But I think the difference for Mighty Bandit here is I got word that basically he ran at Gordon's when he won at Punchtown in November. He'd only been at Gordon's for like 2 or 3 weeks, and he put in that performance, only being in Gordon's for that short amount of time. He's gone disappointed since. That's completely. I do take that on board 100%. But I just think going to Warren will have him ready for his life. Fantastic facilities there at Warren Greatrix's. And if there's just one horse in here that's not been seen since and not had chance to block the copybook too much, I'd say Mighty Bandit's the one. And 20 to 1's a big enough price for me to take a chance each way. Sergino's taken up a massive chunk of the market, over 50% of the market, which I think is justified. I really do think it's justified. But Mighty Bandit is 20 to 1. I don't think he's a 20 shot. So I give him as a potential bit of each way value there in the race. Yeah, I go with that one. We'll then move on then to our final section of the show, the Ante-post tips. And we'll go to Jane first of all. You're joining an illustrious team of Johnny Deneen, Tanya Stevenson, David Jennings, and James Stevens as the audience naps. And we'll come to you for episode 5. And you said before we click recording, you got an interesting one for the handicap. So do share which one that is.
Well, I am joining illustrious company, and I feel like inferior here, but I will bid to hold my own with Johnny and Tanya and everyone else you named there. And I thought I was going to be coy with this selection for a handicap, because he's only had 2 runs in Ireland. His first run for Willie Mullins, he was first string at JP McManus's, and he was nearly favoured, I think, at the Punchtown Festival, and he was beaten out of sight. And then he came back this year. He's no longer a novice because he won a hurdle in Auteuil. So he's very hard to place. And they ran him once over Christmas, and that was in Limerick, over 2.5 miles on heavy ground, and he beat Noble Yates. And the horse is called Sa Majeste. He's very inexperienced. He's only had 2 runs for Willie Mullins, but I know he's highly regarded. And because he's only had the 2 runs, how do you handicap him? You know, Noble Yates has gone on to win the Cleve, but I don't think you can take it that literally. I think the options are Martin Pipe. You could go Coral Cup. Certainly wouldn't go down and trip. He won on heavy ground over 2.5 miles. It was probably riding more of a 2.63 test. He's been piped up now by Willie Mullins at the morning he had, so it's not going to be original content. But ever since he won at Limerick at Christmas, I was wondering where are they going to go with him.
There it is, yeah, in the book, 8-1, Sa Majeste. You may not be the first one for it, but it's definitely a very, very viable pick. You made a good case for it. You know, 4 runs, classic Willie Mullins handicap chance here from France, hard to handicap. This sounds like a good pick. Sa Majeste, then we're giving you Martin Pipe or Coral Cup, whichever one it runs in for the festival. Lee, I'll come over to you. What's your episode 5 nap?
Look, I normally wait until I put a bump or horse up till kind of this time, just because you need the pecking order sorted out. I did like 2. Now Jeroboam Machan is out. You ought to know, I think he'll have a strong chance for Willie Mullins. I think the winner of that race at Leopardstown got first kick. A very classy horse, but your no stayed on well. But I'm going to put up the Yellow Clay of Gordon's. I thought got the worst run of the race, was challenging and up there in the pack, had to pull back out, switch out, and stayed on well. I did see a Gordon Elliott interview saying, you know, he's a horse to watch, had run 2 runs, won a listed race, and then went into that race. I just thought it was a messy race, stayed on best, eye catcher, bigger price. Look, it was between the 2 for the bumper for me. And the Yellow Clay, I'll take a chance on.
Yeah, 12-1 about the Yellow Clay. Nice run last time out. Good case made. Harry, I'll come over to you. What's your episode 5 fancy?
Yeah, mine is actually pretty sickening because we're all wearing old gold jumpers, and I'm actually going to put up a horse that actually beat probably the star of the stables for old gold. So I'm going with Grey Dawning at around 5-1 for the Brown Advisory. This horse was very impressive at Haydock, but I don't think that's the race that you want to be looking at. And it's the last 2 races that you want to be looking at. He was second to Ginny's Destiny when he took the second last with him at Cheltenham. Now that fence obviously was prone to throwing up a third. I think Krabilly was one on the same weekend that obviously that tipped up. So it was a fence that was getting people, and Ginny's Destiny was actually receiving £3 from Grey Dawning. Obviously, Ginny's Destiny then went to a handicap, 2 handicaps, and there's won both since. He's a live player for the Turners, whereas Grey Dawning then went to Haydock and beat Appleway in the Hampton, I want to say. I think it was in Hampton. He sat behind. Harry Skelton was very sensible. Sat behind the pace, let Appleway and Broadway Boy do their own thing in front, and when the pace started to collapse, well, Harry Skelton took it up, and that was game over. Really, I think a really strong pace. He could get this. Factor 5 showed a good clip with Gaelic Warrior. Obviously, people have mentioned that, and if he does go to the Brown Advisory, this could just set up for the likes of Grey Dawning. So I'm hoping that Grey Dawning goes here. Appleway says, "Nah, don't really want to take him on again." He either goes to the National Hunt Chase, where after the likes of Nick Rocket disappointed, I think she would have a massive chance. So yeah, Appleway for the well, I've already tipped her up, haven't I? So Grey Dawning for the Brown Advisory.
Even forgetting which horse you put up there. Grey Dawning for Harry for the Brown Advisory. And for myself, I've been speaking about this horse for a while, and I just wanted to get her in the book because I couldn't find anything else in time for this week. And the lad's already smiling, so they know which horse I'm going to be putting up. But Bride's Hill for the Mare's Chase for me, 12-1. Still think she's a fair price. Look, you look at the Mare's Chase. Dino Blue 6-5 in places, evens in some places. Allegory Devassi is now 4-1. So those 2 horses are taking up nearly 70% of the market now. I'm just thinking, like Dino Blue, there's question marks about whether she stays. I I'm in the camp that I'm not sure if she does stay. I think she's been all speed in her runs this season. I'm not quite sure if she will stay. That test at Cheltenham, new course, 2.5 miles. The ground could be getting towards the end of its tether a little bit. So that will be a tough test for her staying. And Allegory Devassi, she's put in a couple of stinkers over the last few runs. Yes, she was fairly impressive at Nace on the weekend, but the race maybe fell apart for her a little bit. And Bride's Hill, look, I think just she's been cracking. She's a cracking mare for Gavin Cromwell. She's been really impressive this season. They finally sort of sorted out her jumping a little bit. We were speaking off air that she was the one that chucked Keith Donoghue up in the air when jumping on a fence pretty much, I think, last season. But look, she's been really impressive now. She's unbeaten. She's been really good at Listowel at the start of the season, then did well in handicap company off a massive weight to win at Fairy House, and then's gone and bolstered up at Huntington in a race that did fall apart a little bit, but she did it easy enough. I think she'll stay. She's got a good, nice action over her fences now. And yeah, Bride's Hill, 12-1. I want to get that in the book. Audience fancy, final one. We've gone for our last tweet, and Brummy Boys Betting at Brummy Boys Bets. Very apt to this video. Crambo for the stairs at 15-2 still looks a good bet. Progressive and still will no doubt be staying on strong up the hill when others will have thrown the towel in. Outstayed Warrior Pacey Park last time out. Cheltenham should suit, and I think he'll be primed for this. So in the book goes Crambo for Fergal O'Brien.
You just got to remember though what Jane said. If the Irish have a clean sweep, I think 15-2, you could double that, and that's what you could be looking at on the off. So no, that was an interesting point. That was.
Very much so, yeah. But apt for the video, and Crambo is in the book. And that's all we got time for on this episode. Jane, thank you very much for coming on. I know it's everyone sees you on TV now and doing bits and pieces. Where's best to find you in the run up to Cheltenham and around Cheltenham? Will you be on RTE over in Ireland in a couple of meets before Cheltenham potentially?
You'll find me at Clonmel on Thursday for high quality midweek cards, and then you'll find me at Goran on Saturday for the Red Mills Chase and the Red Mills Hurdle, which has thrown up some good horses in the past. I think Janadil won it last year. I can't remember who won the hurdle. But no, we don't have any big days in Ireland now until the Irish Grand National at Fairy House, so it's very much all steam ahead. But this is the first Cheltenham preview that I've kind of done, and it does get the juices flowing. And you know what, I'm always interested in other people's opinions, because there's always something you haven't considered about a horse that somebody else has. And by the time we get to March, this is as much homework as anyone will need to do to listen to these.
Yeah, definitely.
Jane, whose opinion has been the worst this evening? The one that you've listened to? Is it been? I think Lee's on the safe side, so it's either me or Ash. So whose opinions have you think now? I'm never going to listen to that.
Look, I'm trying to think of a political way to get out of this question, but Bride's Hill is not going to win the Mayor's State. That's all.
Yes, Jane, we'll see you this time next week.
That's the odds on landed. Can't believe it. Oh well, that's that slip in the bin already. No, Jane, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate your time. It does get the juice flowing. Very quickly, Irish Grand National. Have you got anything lurking that you think's an Irish National type at this early stage? I know it's only a couple of weeks after Cheltenham this year, so it's going to be quite difficult for horses to back up from Cheltenham to the Irish National. Is there anything that's maybe on your list?
Yeah, I don't think I'd fancy any horse if it runs at Cheltenham. I'd fancy American Mike if he skipped.
Yeah.
I'd fancy it, and I think it's a possibility. It's interesting this year. Anything Gordon has had, down through the years for the National Hunt Chase, he's often ran some very good ones because he knows he's going to have Jamie Codd, and this is no disrespect to his current amateurs who are young, but he doesn't have Jamie Codd, so we're not hearing about what he's planning to switch into those races. And because Jack Kennedy is just so good, I wonder, could he just say we'll put him aside? That's just a possibility. And we know Gordon's record in staying chases; they're amazing.
What about your dad's horse?
Sorry?
What about your dad's horse?
Yeah, Dad, he doesn't think he'll go to Cheltenham unless the owners want to go. And let's be honest, JP McManus has an abundance of talent in the novice chase division. Our horse isn't slow, so I'd imagine 2.5 would probably be his trip. And while they will decide, if he was somebody else's horse and I was just looking in, personally would love to see him try the Grade 1 Ryanair at Fairy House at Easter, but it's not my decision, so we'll see what they do.
Well, best of luck there anyway with Spillane's Tower, and best of luck. Good luck wherever you are. If you are watching for the first time, please do like and subscribe. Comment down below which opinion you thought was the worst, and comment down below why Bright Hill won't be winning the Mayor's Chase, or elsewhere.
Can't jump.
We'll stop now. Harry. But comment down below your best fancy for Cheltenham. If you enjoy, please do like and subscribe. Do check us out on Twitter. We'll be doing the Saturday live at 10:30 a.m. as usual, and the Sunday show at 7 till 8. If you are on a bet this week, please do gamble responsibly. And we've got plenty of competitions going up on the Twitter pages. Lots of things to go down to the Cheltenham preview, which will be, Lee, when's the date of the Cheltenham preview?
It is the 5th of March. It is at 8 o'clock, and it is after the Old Gold Racing preview. So that's 7 till 8.
Which Jane is on. Which Jane is actually on.
Which
Jane
Jane
is on that
on.
one.
So Jane, 7 till 8, you're going to be on the 5th of March, the Tuesday, and then straight after is our preview. We've got plenty of
Don't
good...
you be copying what we're saying. Don't you be copying what... You're not allowed to listen to our podcast.
I'm jumping on.
Right,
Oh, brilliant. We'll try not to copy too much anyway. Well, I won't copy the Bride's Hill shout, that's for sure. Anyway, we'll be back next week with episode 6, new guest coming on. But yeah, if we don't see you then, take it easy and.